Day One Journey, episode 1440, 1440. How important is pleasure? Interesting. Well, a good friend of mine wanted my opinion about that. Important is pleasure. Well, in the past maybe 5, 6, 7 years, I've been writing to myself a list of the moving towards values. Pleasure is not one of them. Does it mean that it's not important to me? Well, it is important to me, but not as important to me as the other things that I wrote on the list. So this is the short answer. A longer answer might be the things. Yes, self-awareness, gratitude, being proud, power, freedom, growth, connection, making a difference, leadership. All this are much more important to me than pleasure. Does it mean that I don't enjoy pleasure? Of course I enjoy pleasure. I think this is the definition of pleasure. Something that we enjoy. I think something that we enjoy right this second. Yes, pleasure. You know what? Even though it's the middle of the video, define pleasure on YouTube. A feeling of happy satisfaction and enjoyment. She smiled with pleasure at being praised. Pleasure refers to the experience that feels good, that involves the enjoyment of something. It contrasts with pain or suffering, which are forms of feeling bad. It is closely related to value, desire, and action. Okay, this is actually better than the first definition. I don't like the connection between pleasure and satisfaction, but maybe I confuse with satisfaction and fulfillment. So pleasure, the experience of something good, involves of the enjoyment of something. Pleasure. When I think about pleasure, the first thing I think about is pain and pleasure. The biggest forces in life. We either move away from pain or towards pleasure. So I think pleasure is very important to understand how we experience pleasure, because then we can sort of master ourselves to attach pleasure to the things that we really want to do, especially in the long term. So I think it's very important to understand this. I don't think it's important, well, for me it's not important to experience pleasure all the time. The first reason is it's not possible, life just 100% pleasure. Yeah. Then we can become numb, It's like I've been there, maybe you also have been there, binging. So you eat something nice, there's the cake, and you want more, and you want more, and you want more, This feeling of pleasure from the cake will end. This is not infinite. Then you have pain. At the end of pleasure, you have pain. In the end of too much pleasure. Well, maybe this is another quote of mine. Don't know if it makes sense. How important is pleasure? Not that important. At least for me. I do want to experience pleasure in my life. I actually will experience pleasure in my life even if I don't move towards it. Because there are things that we enjoy, Just eating after one day that I didn't eat is pleasure 100%. So I do experience pleasure every day. Question is, do we optimize our life to optimize the amount of pleasure that we have? Sometimes I think we confuse the word pleasure with happiness. Well, for me, happiness might be just too vague, to actually consider this. Pleasure, I understand what it is. In my opinion, pleasure, you eat something sweet, you really enjoy the flavors and stuff. This is pleasure. You go to have a massage and you really enjoy the touch. This is a pleasure. you have you make love to someone and you enjoy the connection. It can be also pleasure. The touch, yeah, it's something very, very in the moment. This is how I perceive pleasure. How much is important to me? Not that important. I wouldn't. Some people choose in their life to move towards pleasure. I don't think there's anything bad with it. It's their lives. I'm not judging. My question, do I think it? Well, it's not that important to me. But at the same time, as I said, it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy it. And I think I don't move towards it because I know it will be there. Yeah. What I do is at least try to understand what makes something pleasurable for me, and make the things that are important to me also pleasurable. Associate in the middle of the video. I try to associate the things that are important to me with pleasure. Changing my habits, creating good habits with, there's, if you read the books, The Power of Habits or Atomic Habits, the cycle of habits, you have the trigger, you have the action that you do, and then you get the reward. The reward is like the pleasure. So I try to figure out who I am, what makes me tick pleasure-wise, and use it to my benefit. Accomplishing things, creating skills, working, moving forwards, especially power and growth. So I utilize the understanding of myself, self-awareness, and this is how I think about pleasure. Have an amazing day, day one. See you tomorrow.